I know, new setup, isn't this fun? This is part 3 of my Defenders Rewrite series. If you have not seen parts 1 and 2, or you haven't seen them in a while, or you just want to watch them again because they're so great, I would highly recommend giving them a look now. The links are in the episode description. But if you're busy, you don't have time, here's a quick recap of everything that happened in parts 1 and 2. If you don't need it, you can go to this time in the video. Okay. Matt finishes off the rest of the hand in New York City with a small assist from the Iron Fist, Danny Rand, and the daughter of the dragon, Colleen Wing. Hogarth does a favor to Jessica Jones and gets Luke Cage out of prison. Luke finds out that a businesswoman named Alexandra Bont is developing Harlem into oblivion. Because of economic displacement caused by Alexandra, everyone notices an increase in street-level crime. Luke goes to a protest where he learns of a vandal calling himself the Wrecker, who has become the people's champion. Danny destroys a Rand deal with Alexandra. Later that night, Luke investigates a mysterious lightning strike and is knocked unconscious by an unknown figure. After she hears about what happened to Luke, Claire calls Misty, Jessica, Danny, Colleen, and Matt for help. Misty and Jessica work together to try to figure out who hurt Luke, since they're the two best investigators in the show. Danny uses his chi powers to heal Luke. Danny tries to track the energy signature of the weapon that hurt Luke. Matt tries to figure out if there's a new weapon in town. He goes and shakes down Turk Barrett, and Justin Hammer finds nothing. Jessica and Misty run into Danny and Colleen at the crime scene. And because Danny and Colleen both partially match the description that Jessica and Misty got of the person that knocked out Luke, Jessica and Misty try to bring Danny and Colleen in for questioning. Danny and Colleen refuse and get into a fight with Jessica and Misty. And right before either can hurt the other, Claire and a now healed Luke arrive and tell everyone that he remembers what happened. Okay. Now, you guys know that I love a good midpoint. The moment in the middle of the story where everything changes, the stakes change, our protagonist's goals shift. So let's build to one. We leave off episode 3 with Claire stopping Danny and Jessica from killing each other, and Luke revealing that he knows who knocked him out. So that's where we start episode 4, Rock the House. Luke, Claire, Misty, Jessica, and Danny and Colleen, still in costume, go to Pop's barbershop, and Luke tells his story. So Luke was walking alone in Harlem. He saw a lightning strike at a construction site. He heard someone maybe screaming or something like that, so he ran over to help. And when Luke got to the construction site, he found a man who was clearly the one that was struck by lightning. His clothes are smoking. Luke says, "You okay?" The man says, yeah, I think so. I don't know what happened." Luke's like, "You were hit by lightning." The man's like, "Oh, wow, okay." Luke's like, "We gotta get you to the hospital." This man says, No, it's fine. I'll be fine. Don't worry." Luke's like, "No, seriously, you get struck by lightning. You're going to the hospital." And then Luke notices some spray paint. And he notices that there is a wall that has just been tagged with the Wrecker. This guy is the Wrecker. That's why he was at this construction site. That's why he doesn't want to go to the hospital. He doesn't want his identity exposed. But still, Luke feels like he has to help this guy. So Luke tries to help the Wrecker up, and the Wrecker says, No, get off. And then the Wrecker picks up this weird, kind of glowing piece of metal that's about the shape of a crowbar and uses it to uppercut Luke, which sends Luke flying. And that's the story. Luke describes the Wrecker, says he was wearing a purple ski mask over his face, and he had a green jacket on. Jessica and Misty realize this matches the description we got from people of someone leaving the scene. This must be him. So everyone's confused, like, what are we supposed to do? Danny takes the reins. He's the only one that's dealt with a possibly magic supervillain. This is his area of expertise. So Rock the House is your Danny Rand-centric episode. So the group argues a little bit, but eventually they agree that Danny probably does know best, and he takes over. So Danny's plan. He's gonna try to use his magic sensing power thing to track the crowbar. He isn't able to track it immediately, but he thinks maybe when it's used, that will give off enough energy for him to pick up on where it is. So they're gonna wait until then. And at that point, they start forming an actual plan. We won't see the plan until it's in action because it's a little bit more fun that way. But now that we know what's going on, Claire calls Matt. But Matt refuses to help again because he doesn't want to work with the team. And Colleen and Danny talk. Colleen asks Danny if he really knows what he's doing. And Danny says yeah. He may have failed at being Danny Rand earlier, but this is who he is. This is what he's good at doing, being the Iron Fist. And then Danny gets a feeling. He picks up on that magical energy from before. The wrecker must be using the crowbar now. So Danny concentrates and he's able to track the wrecker to a warehouse in Queens. The gang gets ready and they leave. Claire calls Matt, she explains what's going on. She tells him, hey, we've assembled a group of people. We figured out where this guy is. It's actually the wrecker and he has some sort of magic crowbar. And that's what they're calling it from now on, a crowbar. It's not actually a crowbar, but it does kind of look like one. You should come with them to help them stop this guy. We're going to this warehouse. These guys could probably use your help. Matt refuses. He works alone. Claire says, if you change your mind, here's where to find us. So then the gang travels to the warehouse. They can take the subway. This is where they'll talk a little bit. Colleen and Misty will have their first conversation. They apologize for hurting one another. Both compliment each other on how well they fought. You can see a friendship starting to form. Jessica talks to Luke about how crazy all of this is, how much she does not like the Iron Fist. Luke agrees that it's pretty weird, but the world's changing and they kind of have to go with it. So then Matt is going to get a visit from Stick. Stick is going to shame Matt for not helping the other heroes. Matt tells Stick, I'm only going to get him hurt. You've seen what happens to people I help. But Stick's going to give Matt tough love. Maddie, you gotta get over yourself. Elektra's death wasn't your fault. Besides, this is bigger than you, and they may fail and die, but as bad as it'll feel if you helped, it's nothing compared to if you don't. And Matt says, well, what do you want me to do? Stick says, put your little suit on, get out there, and do your job. And maybe we can throw in an F-bomb here, because that's kind of Stick's deal. I honestly can't remember if the Marvel Netflix shows do that or not, but this would be the right time. And you may be asking, well, how does Stick know about all of this? And the answer is it's Stick. He just kinda does. That's his deal. So, the team of Claire, Luke, Misty, Jessica, Danny, and Colleen arrive at the warehouse. Danny says, I can sense it. It's here. So then they put the plan into motion. Luke knocks on the front door, opens it up. Marcus says, I didn't expect to see you ever again. Luke says, oh, you're good, but you're not that good. The wrecker can say, well, that was my first time, but I got better. Luke says, oh, we'll see, but I don't think you're gonna do much good without your fancy crowbar. The wrecker walks over to a table, uncovers the crowbar, picks it up. You know, I never saw a crowbar, but now that you mention it, yeah, that's kind of what this is, isn't it? Seems kind of old and magic, but yeah, I see it now. And it works with the whole wrecker brand, so that's what I'm gonna call it too. And the wrecker picks the crowbar up, and right as the wrecker is about to hit Luke, we see Jessica and Danny outside the warehouse. Jessica picks up Danny and tosses him into the warehouse through a window. Danny breaks through, charges up an iron fist, and uses it to knock the crowbar out of the wrecker's hands. Luke grabs the crowbar, Danny cocks back an iron fist, and Jessica bursts through the window. They've surrounded the wrecker. Jessica says, give up. You're all alone, and we got your fancy stick. And here's your midpoint. And then the wrecker says, well, you guys are all kinds of wrong. I don't have to give up. You don't have my fancy stick. And then he's going to pull the stick the same way Thor pulls Mjolnir. And he's going to use it to knock Danny and Jessica back. And then the wrecker says, and I am not alone. And then a door raises, and the rest of the wrecking crew walks out. 3 other guys that we didn't even know existed up until this point. That's right, in these videos, the Fast and Furious family is going to stand in for the wrecking crew. Partially because they're just working class guys, and partially because they're giant muscle men who like to punch each other. I like the idea that the wrecker's a little cocky. You know what, I wasn't sure that was gonna work, but you guys gave me a great setup. But thanks, we're gonna remember this moment. Meet the wrecking crew. Now our 3 heroes are outnumbered. This is going to be a problem. Things are about to get real. So now the episode is going to end with a fight between the 3 heroes and the wrecking crew. And the 3 wrecking crew members are each going to work a little differently. I said this in my Why the Defenders Did Not Work video, but besides our heroes having a little bit of diversity in terms of how they fight, I think the villains should also have diversity, and while their power sets are going to be relatively similar, the way they use them is going to be very different. So you've got the Wrecker who's fighting mostly with his crowbar. You've got a character who we are not going to name in this episode called Thunderball. He's going to be the strongest one. His whole thing is he picks things up, throws them, uses steel beams as bats. He likes to weaponize things. He's not going to use the wrecking ball here, we'll save that for later. Then you've got a character who's known as Piledriver. He's got slightly larger than average fists, so he can punch really well, but we're also going to make him the fastest member of the wrecking crew, which makes him the hardest member of the team to hit. So Piledriver's whole thing is he runs around real fast and punches you. And then you've got Bulldozer, the least vulnerable member of the team. So he's the only one that wears a helmet. He moves pretty slow, but kind of like the Juggernaut from the X-Men comics and movies. Once he starts moving, it's really difficult to stop him, and a lot of what he does is try to charge into characters. So our heroes are going to have a short-handed fight against our villains. Piledriver is going to go up against Luke, because Luke is strong, but these guys can still do damage against Luke, and Luke is the slowest of the three heroes, so Piledriver is able to get a lot of shots in, and this will really mess up Luke. Thunderball is going to take on Jessica mostly by throwing things at her and hitting her with different things in the warehouse. And Iron Fist is more skilled, he has a lot of martial arts techniques, so he is able to deal with the Wrecker, but every time he seems like he's getting an upper hand, Bulldozer comes through, knocks him around, and that gives Wrecker enough time to recover. So our heroes are going to get beat. And Colleen and Misty and Claire will come in, which will only make things more difficult, because all the heroes immediately say, no, get back, these guys are really dangerous. So our heroes are going to have a hard time focusing while they are already getting beat up. And then, when all seems lost and the wrecking crew is ready to kill the heroes, the lights in the warehouse go out. The wrecking crew is confused, like, what's this? And then, Matt, as Daredevil, comes in and knocks them all around. This is how Matt is going to win this fight. He uses his enhanced senses and world on fire vision, and he isn't able to knock out any members of the wrecking crew because Matt doesn't have superhuman strength or anything like that, but he is able to trick them into punching each other, and that gives our heroes enough time to retreat. Now, I don't think I made this super clear in any previous episodes, but I do want to keep things roughly the same in terms of where this defender starts and ends, and where the other defender starts and ends. Like, I don't want any big changes to the status quo of the Marvel Netflix series, so that you can watch these videos and then go home and watch the rest of the shows as if this was the actual version of Defenders you saw. And that means we might have to kill Stick. Now, I don't think we necessarily need to, because in my ideal version of this story, we're saving Shadowland for Defenders 2, and that's probably the best place to kill Stick. But if you really have to, Matt and Stick can be fighting in this warehouse together. Stick can say, Matty, you gotta get these guys out of here, live to fight another day. I'll deal with these guys. And then the members of the wrecking crew can kill Stick while the rest of the heroes are escaping. And whether Stick dies or not, the heroes escaping would be the end of episode 4 and the midpoint of the series. So we have a wrecking crew now, a full team of 4 villains working together, but we have also assembled the Defenders. And we know a little bit more about the Wrecker, but we don't know his real identity, and we know next to nothing about the wrecking crew themselves. So our heroes are going to start working together to figure that out in episode 5 of the Defenders rewrite. Oh, and one more thing. Whether you are a lawyer, or a private investigator, or bartender, or whatever Danny Rand does in his show, business, if you're a business person, or you're a YouTube creator, or you're a podcaster, I'm sure you recognize how difficult it can be to stay organized. Keeping track of different projects and tasks in different systems is very complicated. But if you'd like to get a better handle on your productivity, I would highly recommend checking out fellow YouTuber Thomas Frank's class called Productivity Masterclass. It is a super helpful class. Thomas goes through how he sets up and uses programs like Todoist and Evernote, which are 2 programs that I had never used before watching the class, and now I use all the time, and they're really helpful. And you can find Productivity Masterclass and over 25,000 others at this video's sponsor, Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community with classes in productivity, design, writing, video editing, so much more. Premium membership gives you unlimited access so that you can improve your skills and do the work that you love. Try it out. Go look at Productivity Masterclass, find other classes that are interesting to you. They've got something for everybody. And if you want to join the millions of students already learning on Skillshare today, you can get 2 months of Skillshare for free if you click on the link in the video description. Sign up and start learning today with Skillshare. As always, thank you to everyone who continues to support the channel on Patreon. You guys are the best. You want to see your name up here, get access to videos early, other cool stuff, throw in literally any amount of money at patreon.com/NandoVMovies. You have no idea how much I appreciate it. Also, listen to my podcast, Mostly Nitpicking. Every week, me and my co-host DJ pick apart a piece of pop culture by looking exclusively at the details. We just finished our Dance to the Joker series, where we looked at every movie with the Joker, ending with Joker. So if you want to hear our thoughts on Batman 66, Batman 89, The Dark Knight, and how many yo-hos each Joker gets, which is a thing you'll understand if you listen to the podcast, you can find us anywhere you listen to your podcasts. We are at Nitpicking Pod on Twitter. And finally, and most importantly for some reason, follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/NandoVMovies. It's where I post updates on videos and podcasts, and where I put up things like polls, because people have asked how old I am, and I wanted to see what you guys thought, and the results were 61% thought I was somewhere between 25 and 29, so let's go with that. But that's all I got. I'll see you next time.